Hey guys, am I live? Oh, hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. Going to do another live stream. Got about 10 articles all racked up. I've adequately prepared half of them. I haven't adequately prepared a few of them, so we'll go through them together. Okay, I've done a audio check. If you are watching at this moment in time, please do say hello in chat. Give me a little bit of company. And if you're watching this after the fact, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video, share the link. If you feel that you've got friends and family that might appreciate such topics, here's my Twitter page if you'd like to communicate with me on Twitter. And yes, I'm also known as Pick a Leech. But we're going to go through these articles. I'm going to provide a trigger warning. A lot of these topics, well, almost all of these topics are going to be incredibly dark. They're going to involve murder. There's going to be torture. There's a satanic cult, which will be mentioned and gone through. So it's all very, very dark topics. And we shall begin. 3 women, including a grandmother, have been found stabbed to death at a New York City home. 3 women stabbed to death. The women's ages 26, 47, and 68. They've been found in a Queens home by another family member, and they were discovered 9:30 a.m. Friday morning. One of the victims, the youngest victim, 26 years of age, was bedridden. So that victim, a lady, was bedridden and disabled. She had moved into the home from Jamaica a few months ago. And as of 9:30 Friday morning, 3 women, all in the same family, have been discovered dead, stabbed to death. Another member of the family is being looked into, is a prime suspect. Another member of the family is being hunted, as it were, or searched for. So, yeah, a relative of one of the women is being searched for. So the article tells us that a mum, her daughter, and disabled stepdaughter were found fatally stabbed in the neck in a New York City home. They were found early Friday morning as police search for a suspect who was the relative of one of the slain women. Police are searching for a relative in connection with the deaths who apparently fled the home at 5 a.m. So, seemingly, bit of a presumption on my part, but there was a relative of one of the 3 women that I'm going to say lived at the home, or certainly stayed at the home that evening by the look of it, and is currently the prime suspect for having stabbed to death all 3 women. We don't know if that relative is a male or a female. We don't know anything about them, which I have to say I do find a little bit odd. I mean, why aren't the police telling us some details about this suspect? Giving us a proper description, their names and photos. Why aren't they telling us that? I mean, we're here to try to help members of the public in the Queens area of New York want to be aware of this suspect. If they are guilty of having stabbed to death 3 family members, we ought to be aware of this person. If they're suspected, well, just tell us that they're a suspect. We'll keep an eye out for them. If we see them, we'll tell you. So it does strike me as odd as to why the police haven't provided any information other than to say that the prime suspect is a relative of one of the women. The police have said the killings appear to be a domestic violence incident. There's no known history of domestic violence occurring at the premises. Police have confirmed that it was not a murder-suicide. Not a murder-suicide, meaning that it was out-and-out murder, seemingly, and the murderer has escaped for the time being. So we do hope that they are caught. Again, the women were aged 26, 47, and 68. They were discovered in the Queen's home by a home health aide and another relative. A home health aide presumably came to the premises to attend to the youngest victim, 26 years of age, who was bedridden and disabled. So presumably the home health aide went to do their rounds to act as a nurse for that disabled person, and tragically, along with another relative, found all three women stabbed to death. So it's absolutely horrific. Of course, we hope this culprit is found, believed to be a relative of one of the three women. We hope that justice takes place, and full condolences to all of the extended family. We're not aware of a GoFundMe at this point in time. We're not aware of the names of any of the victims. But if one does come to light, then that would be something to take a look at and perhaps consider contributing to if you're in a position to. Moving on to the next story. Essentially, in brief, this woman here drowned her grandmother. The grandmother was 93 years of age, and this woman, seemingly they lived together. They were just having a nice, normal day. They had some ice cream together at home, and then this woman here that we see in front of us, her name is Heidi Matheny, 35 years of age, went up behind the grandmother, whose name is Alice Matheny. Alice Matheny was doing the dishes. She had her head, above the sink. She was doing the dishes. This psychopath, the granddaughter, crept up behind the grandmother, pushed her head into the sink whilst she was doing the dishes, didn't let go until the bubbles stopped bubbling, until the water stopped bubbling. Hey, Donna. Thanks for joining. And already, so I've dived into, this is the second article. It's about this woman here who one day, for no particular reason, not provoked by anything, just decided to murder her own grandmother. So she drowned the grandmother in the kitchen sink whilst the grandmother was doing the dishes. And then after that, she took the grandmother to the bathtub. She filled the bathtub up and held the grandmother's head under the water within the bathtub for 15 minutes, just to be sure that the grandmother died. And she did die. The grandmother's body was left in the tub. Investigators came at some point. I'm not quite sure when they came. Just double checking. We're not quite sure when the investigators came, but the investigators asked the granddaughter, Heidi Matheny, why the heck did she decide to kill her grandmother, her 93-year-old grandmother? What was the problem with her? What did she do wrong? What led you to do this? And she says, the granddaughter says, no, she didn't do anything wrong. No, everything was fine. It was quite a nice day, actually. We were minding our own business. And then I just got sick of seeing her. She got sick of seeing her, so she killed her. That's the amount of self-control that this woman has. That's the amount of evil she has flowing through her. She killed her own grandmother, who apparently was a lovely lady, according to the granddaughter herself. She murdered her own grandmother because why not? She didn't want to see her anymore, so she killed her. Further to that, apparently the grandmother needed to be sent to a nursing home and that the family couldn't afford that. Insurance wasn't stepping in. So I've got to presume that at least to some extent, the granddaughter viewed the grandmother as being somewhat of a burden, a financial burden, a time burden, having to look after your elderly family member. So too much of a burden by the look of it. Heidi herself says she didn't do anything. The grandmother didn't do anything to provoke this. That the grandmother is the perfect freaking grandma. It's just crazy. So she killed the grandmother that she seems to have no problem with. The granddaughter describes the grandmother as being the perfect freaking grandmother. Yet she killed her, murdered her. Okay, so thankfully the granddaughter has been booked into jail. This happened in Ohio. She's been formally charged with murder. She's been given a $500,000 bond. Um, so there we go. It's just an act of craziness, a murderous act of craziness. Why on earth would a woman, a granddaughter, kill their grandmother when there's no real incentive to it? It kind of boggles the mind, if you ask me. So we're going to move on. This is a terrible situation here. We're going to play a short video in just a moment, but I'll give you a brief overview of what happened. This happened. When did this happen? This happened on Tuesday, I believe. Oh no, sorry, Wednesday morning. Essentially, a group of cadets, a team of recruits, were jogging. They were doing a training run in Southern California, and then some psychopathic idiot, whose name is Nicholas Joseph Gutierrez, 22 years of age, was in his car, and he plowed into the dozens of recruits. We're going to watch a video in just a moment, so I'll give you a trigger warning. He plowed through, crashed into dozens of recruits that were doing their morning jog as part of their training. He drove into them. Now, some of the witnesses believe, or at least strongly suspect, that he drove into them at speed and indeed accelerated into them. So there is some surveillance footage that we'll watch in just a second. The article tells us that as many as 25 recruits suffered injuries, which include head trauma, broken bones, and a loss of limb. At least 5 of the recruits have been critically injured. So this is a serious incident. Thankfully, no fatalities at this point. However, 5 critically injured, and as far as I understand, several have got life-changing injuries. Life-changing injuries. So perhaps they're not going to be able to walk as well as they used to, or not going to be able to perform physical activities. Dozens of healthy recruits, and this idiot crashes into them, perhaps purposefully. So he wasn't drunk. He had no alcohol in his system. However, it's believed that he was using marijuana, and he told officers that he was feeling sleepy. So we're going to watch this video again. A brief trigger warning. Here are the group of recruits, and this is where the car is going to come from, the left-hand side of the footage. Crazy. So the video cut out, it edited some of the impact there. The car crashed into a post after barreling through these dozens of recruits. The guys at the front were able to see the car coming, and they were able to attempt to jump out of the way, and some of them were managed to jump out of the way and avoid the collision, but others were hit with this potentially speeding SUV. But the guys at the back, or the recruits at the back, they didn't see what was coming. They didn't know what was happening. So I believe that those that were more seriously injured were perhaps those at the rear of the pack. Again, the car continued and it post, which enabled the police to apprehend the driver. There were 75 recruits out for a morning run in Whittier, Southern California, at around 6:25, when the wrong way driver plowed into the training, whatever that word says. So he had marijuana in his car, and this happened Wednesday morning. So here's a quick quote. It looked like an airplane wreck. There were so many bodies scattered everywhere, said Sheriff Villanueva. All injuries have been survivable, but some may be life-altering. Patients were taken to several different hospitals. At least one victim was hospitalized on a ventilator at a local hospital. So, of course, we pray that all of the injured make full recoveries. Again, 5 are in critical condition. Several are believed to have life-altering conditions. Loss of limb has been mentioned. So the car continued after plowing through the group of 75 recruits. It crashed into a pole. We see the aftermath of the vehicle there. Alcohol was not involved, but marijuana was found in the vehicle. There's a second video in this article which we can have a quick look at perhaps. But essentially, 25 law enforcement officers. Oh, no, that's wrong. We see these law enforcement officers here, this perhaps SWAT team or whatever you would describe them as being. They go to his house. So this is after he's been apprehended. But look, they're taking this very, very seriously. I believe they want to search the house for any evidence that this incident could have been planned. So I believe that was the purpose of the raid on the driver's property or where he lives, just in case they're able to find anything which will incriminate him in regards to having purposefully driven into these team of recruits. So there's that article again, full condolences. I'm kind of annoyed that he's able to. This is the guy, this is the driver. He's just walking. Why isn't he in cuffs? Why isn't he in cuffs? They're dealing with him in a very casual way. They're giving him too much of an easy time of things, in my opinion. I mean, why was he allowed to go back home? But I'm not sure if that is the case. But I don't know. It just seems that the police have just been a little bit too gentle with this guy. Why the fuck wasn't his head smashed into the pavement? Or, you know, perhaps I've gone a little bit too far in saying that. But I don't know. I'm a little bit perturbed by seeing these images of the driver just walking around uncuffed. Doesn't sit right with me. The state of that car, I hope they will recover. Yeah. 5 are critical. Loss of limb is mentioned. Several have life-altering injuries. So hopefully over time those will heal. Donna says, I think where are the people around that are not noticing mental health issues, but I guess some people are just evil. Yeah. I don't know, Donna. Like the question of mental health and evil, I think is an interesting subject. We've all got different opinions on the subject, and I'm just I'm still trying to figure out what my opinion is. Maybe it's all semantics ultimately. Some of the times I read through these articles and it seems very obvious that the culprit, the perpetrator of these horrendous crimes, are thoroughly mentally ill. And I seem to give them a bit of a pass. I feel sorry for them to a degree. I feel like they're not an actual human. They're not themselves. They are, riddled with mental illness and are a victim of a disease or such in that regard. So some of the articles that I read through, perhaps just the wording, perhaps the details, I just don't feel as angry towards them as I do others. It's a bit weird, so I should perhaps try to understand my reasoning a little bit better. But yeah, it is odd. This woman here who killed her grandmother, was that a factor of mental illness? Was that a factor of evil? Are they one and the same? Does it even matter? I saw somebody make a quote the other day. I can't remember who, but it was I quite liked it, and it was something like whether or not somebody's mentally ill, they're still making a choice to commit the acts that they do, and those choices are what are the evil, is where the evil resides, in the making of those evil choices. So you can both be mentally ill and evil. You can be mentally ill and make evil choices. I think maybe that's a good way of looking at these things. But I'm going to move on. We're going to move on. This is another case of craziness craziness and evil. This scumbag here allegedly shot and killed his 16-year-old girlfriend who was pregnant. He knew that she was pregnant. So he has been arrested. He's been accused of that. He's also been accused of another murder, which we'll look at towards the end of the article. But this guy, Lorenzo Larry, 17 years of age from Florida, has been accused of fatally shooting his pregnant 16-year-old girlfriend, DeShayla Ferguson, pregnant, and he knows that she was pregnant. He's been charged with 1 count of second-degree murder, as well as 1 count of killing an unborn child. He is 17 years of age, but he's going to be trialed as an adult or charged as an adult. Yes, I approve of that, Florida. Well done. I don't understand giving young people a pass, especially at the age of 17. So he's a few days younger than 18. They shouldn't get a pass for that. He's allegedly murdered. He'll be put on trial for murdering his pregnant girlfriend and their unborn child. And again, he's been alleged to have murdered somebody else. I think he's admitted to murdering somebody else. So, yeah, absolutely, he needs to face the full force of the judicial system that Florida has to offer. Authorities have alleged that Larry, on October the 28th, killed his girlfriend, DeShayla Ferguson, who had been reported missing in August of this year. So that part confuses me a little bit. Had she been missing all the way from August through to late October? That's something I'm not sure of, but that confuses me a little bit. So the 17-year-old is accused of having killed his girlfriend with a single bullet to the head. This happened apparently after a heated argument. Police say she was shot in her right temple near her hairline. She died in the driveway of their home, or a home, located in Orlando, Florida. The defendant's 14-year-old sister told police that she was in the garage with the door closed and she heard a gunshot. She ran through the house. She saw her brother, and her brother looked at her and said that he accidentally shot the victim. So he said, "I didn't mean to do it," or something very similar to that. So seemingly the alleged shooter's 14-year-old sister was in the house. She ran, she heard the gunshot, ran to find out what had happened, saw the brother, and the brother implied that he had shot his girlfriend, DeShayla Ferguson, and he implied that by saying, "I didn't mean to do it." Well, buddy, it looks like you did do it, and you're going to face justice for doing that. The 14-year-old sister said her brother then wrapped a handgun in black and white cloth before running into the house and eventually getting into a blue car with 2 other male passengers and driving away from the scene. So I don't like the sound of that. So this guy apparently accidentally shoots his pregnant girlfriend in the head, killing her instantly. And then he bundles up the gun, the murder weapon, and flees the scene. Just so happens he's got 2 of his buddies waiting for him in a car outside. What the F were they doing there at that time? Was this planned? I mean, that's what would be going through my head. And how implicated are those other people that were in the car, the driver that drove away from the scene? It does tell us in the article that the driver says they dropped off the shooter very shortly after. And seemingly the driver didn't know what was going on, didn't want to be involved. So whether or not that's true, we don't really know. But certainly the driver didn't try to drive the shooter to the police station or anything. Further to that, investigators have also alleged that the alleged shooter, similarly killed 23-year-old Jamil Pittman with a gunshot wound to the head on December the 8th, 2021. So here's a quote from one of the investigators, from the Orange County Sheriff. He admitted to shooting Jamil, but claimed it was self-defense, although he fled the scene, disposed of a gun, and fled to another state. So if I'm understanding this correctly, I have to double check. I don't know if Jamil Pittman, would that be a girl? I don't know if that's a girl's name or a guy's name. But this alleged shooter has admitted to having shot and killed this person, Jamil Pittman. So it's a guy. No, hang on. Is it a woman? I don't know. Is that Jamil? Okay, that's Jamil. Looks like a guy. Yes, I'll go there. Looks like a gangbanger. To me, what do I know? Nothing at all. But this guy has admitted to having shooting and killed Jamil Pittman late last year. So this guy is an admitted killer, and seemingly he's killed a 16-year-old girlfriend who was pregnant at the time, shot her, killed her. Why? Because they had an argument. We don't know anything about it, but what a shame, you know. So of course, full condolences to the family of Deshayla Ferguson. They've lost their daughter, they've lost their sister, they've lost their friend, and they've lost the unborn child as well. Just because this guy shoots people when he gets angry, allegedly. Her and the baby will never get a pass. So yeah, throw the damn book. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you throw the damn book at him? You know, he's admitted to another killing as well. So yeah, this is an absolute scumbag, a murderous scumbag. By all accounts, he's admitted to killing one person. His own sister is stating that he's virtually admitted to killing his girlfriend and the unborn child. Why wouldn't you? Why would you give him anything less than the either the death penalty if that's available, or life in prison? All right, so we're going to move on. This is a very, very dark subject. This is about a murder, and there's satanic cult elements to the topic. Here is the accused. His name, Ethan Kyle Myers, 26 years of age, from Texas. He's been arrested for allegedly killing a 36-year-old woman by bashing her head in with a rock and then dismembering her as part of a sacrifice, removing body parts. The accused scumbag Ethan Kyle Myers was taken into custody on Sunday, so a week ago, and he's been charged with evading arrest and the murder of Sarah Hobson. We don't know too much details about the victim, Sarah Hobson. I've done a Google search. It could be this lady here, but then it may not. So I'm a little reluctant to highlight it, although that is what I'm going to do. That may be the victim, or that may be somebody that just shares the name of the victim. I'm not 100% sure. Two other people have also been arrested in connection with Sarah Hobson's death. They've both been charged with 1 count each of tampering or fabricating physical evidence with the intent to impair a human corpse. So 2 other people have been implicated in regards to essentially trying to cover up the murder. Those people are Alan Price and Teresa Louviere. So that's Teresa Louviere. We've got a picture of Alan Price. So these guys have not been charged in regards to the actual murder, but they've been charged in regards to tampering and fabricating with physical evidence. Okay, so deputies were called at approximately 4 p.m., 4 in the afternoon, on November the 13th, a week ago. They responded to a request for a welfare check on an individual at a home located in Woking, if I pronounce that correctly, Woking. Upon entering the residence, first responders on the scene discovered Sarah Hobson's lifeless body. Police say that these two weirdos, Louvier and Alan Price, police say that those two weirdos went to the sheriff's office and they requested the welfare check, telling deputies that they believe that Ethan Myers had done something to the victim, Sarah Hobson. So they went to the police and said, "We're concerned about Sarah Hobson. We've not seen her. And we think that this weirdo, who's a Satanist, may have done something to the victim." So apparently these two said that Ethan Myers had been staying at their home and had been acting strange before fleeing the house. Ethan Myers was reportedly covered in blood. They also hadn't seen the victim, Sarah Hobson, for more than a day. Apparently, Ethan Myers had been involved in cult activity. The deputies that discovered Sarah Hobson's body reportedly found that all of her fingers and toes had been removed, along with both of her ears. Okay, so the officers found Sarah Hobson's body at the home. All of her fingers, all of her toes, and both of her ears had been removed. All of those body parts were found in a freezer bag, which had been placed in between Sarah Hobson's legs. Can you imagine that? Maybe you don't want to. Maybe it's a good idea not to. But Sarah Hobson's found, I'm presuming, laying on the floor, perhaps. That part isn't specified. But she's been dismembered. Her fingers, her toes, her ears have been cut off. And they're all in a freezer bag placed in between the victim's legs. The deputies also noted that Sarah had sustained a large impact wound to the right side of her head. Investigators spoke with the suspect's mother. The suspect's mother said that the suspect, Ethan Myers, told her that the victim, Sarah Hobson, had asked him to sacrifice her. All he did was complete the task. All he did was complete her request. The mother of the suspect also said that Ethan Myers hears voices and is satanic. Apparently, he ran off. He had run off to the woods to avoid prison, but at this point, he has been arrested. Investigators at the scene reportedly found the victim's body in a bedroom. It had been rolled up into the middle of a carpet. Deputies said that the room smelled of paint. The walls appeared to have been recently painted. Multiple cans of paint were found inside the room, as well as many cleaning supplies. Essentially, they were able to find blood splatter all over the walls. All over the furniture. Also, they were able to identify that the walls had been wiped down. Somebody had tried to clean the walls from all of the blood splatter that was all over. A search of Ethan Myers' vehicle turned up a shovel, several plastic bags, a gallon of gasoline, a hammer, and a large rock stuffed in a trash bag that had the smell of gasoline. So as we mentioned before, it appeared that Sarah Hobson, the victim, had suffered a blow to the right side of her head, and the large rock appeared to be a match to that wound. The two weirdos whose house it was, if I understand correctly, that have been charged with they've been charged with tampering or fabricating physical evidence. So they were fiddling around. They're both being held on a $250,000 bond. So we don't know how complicit they were. We don't know how knowledgeable they were. Were they aware that this guy was planning to murder the victim, Sarah Hobson? We don't know. It seems possible this occurred in their house, if I understand correctly. The walls had been cleaned. Was that done by Price and Louviere? Possibly. Seems like that would be my guess. That's what they did. They're believed to be the ones responsible for cleaning the walls to try to hide the crime scene. That's my guess. The actual alleged murderer, Ethan Myers, is on a $1.25 million bond. So I applaud that. That's a high bond. Perhaps not high enough, but I mean adequate, an adequate bond in my mind. You do not want this mentally ill, psychotic, evil, satanic cult member walking the streets. Texas, you don't want that. You shouldn't need me to tell you that. You should be aware of that already. But you don't want that. So yes, keep him on a very high bond. Of course, full condolences to the victim's family. Again, I'm not sure if this is an accurate photo of the victim. It could be somebody completely unrelated who shares the victim's name, Sarah Hobson. I'm not aware of any GoFundMe's. If I become aware, then perhaps I'll post that. I'll perhaps do a standalone video on this one. $250,000 bond. Yeah, that's not for the alleged murderer. So the alleged murderer is on a 1.25 million bond, but 250,000 for the two people that are involved. Well, have been charged with tampering and fabricating with physical evidence with the intent to impair a human corpse. So my guess, which is probably right to be honest, is that this person, Teresa Louviere and Alan Price, I believe it's their house. I don't know if they owned it or rented it or whatever. But the article is telling us that the walls of the room have been painted, that the walls had been washed down. There were chemical supplies all over. These things are able to be identified by the forensics. So it looks like these two were trying to cover up the fact that their buddy, that their housemate, had murdered the victim. So yeah, I would think $250,000 for these guys. I think you could argue that that's adequate. You could argue that it's not enough, but certainly you do not want this guy on the streets for sure. So I'm going to move on to some other topics. I think these other topics I haven't actually read through properly, so we'll go through those for the first time, and they're going to involve children. So I'll give you a trigger warning. A child has been killed when a runaway float truck hits Christmas parade dancers. So this happened at Raleigh's 78th annual Christmas parade. It was cancelled an hour after it began on Saturday, when the driver of a truck pulling a float lost control and rolled into the back of a group of young dancers, tragically killing one of the young dancers. So the driver has been identified, 20 years of age, Landon Christopher Glass, and he shouted out of the window that he had lost the brakes and couldn't stop. He was blaring the truck's horns as volunteers try to snatch children out of the way. Oh, okay. So look, as far as we can understand, this was not the driver's fault. If we're to believe this situation, my assumption, my go-to would be to believe it. This seems like a 20-year-old guy in a very unfortunate position. He's driving a truck, but the brakes aren't working. He's done what he can to alert everyone in the area that he's not able to stop the vehicle. The people in the area try to do what they could to get the children out of the way, but unfortunately, one of the children was hit by the float or by the truck. I'm not entirely sure. No, by the truck. It was one child was hit by the truck, or rather, perhaps several children were hit, but tragically one died. The truck wasn't going that fast, but because the girls had no idea that it was coming, they just couldn't get out of the way. They were at the mercy of someone else moving them out of the way. Authorities have not identified the victim or said her age. She was taken to hospital, where tragically she died from her injuries. Okay, so the 20-year-old driver has been charged with misdemeanor death by motor vehicle, careless and reckless driving, improper equipment, unsafe movement, and carrying a firearm in a parade. Okay, so that confuses me. Why does he have a firearm in a parade? Well, maybe he was concerned for his safety and the safety of others. There have been other incidences in parades, Waukesha parade in particular. I don't know. It says here that it's a tragic accident. If it is a tragic accident, then why are they charging the driver? Um, Maybe they're charging the driver merely on a precautionary basis and with a view to dropping the charges as and when they're able to confirm there was a physical mechanical error with the vehicle. But in all honesty, if this 20-year-old driver, if he is being honest, if he did suffer brake issues, and if he was attempting to alert people, then I would give him a pass. If it's not his fault, it's not his fault, you know? But then I don't know the full story at this point. So we're going to move on to the next subject. Again, I've not read through the next couple of articles properly, so we'll go through them. Okay. Mm. Okay, so it looks like a pretty ominous headline. A mother, 3 kids have been shot dead in their own home after a judge denies a protective order. Okay, so here is here is the mother. So her and her 3 children have been shot dead in their own home. Joanna Cottle called 911 at about 4 a.m. Friday morning to report a possible intruder at her Virginia home. By the time police arrived, the dispatcher heard the gunshots. She and her 3 children were dead. Okay, so she was on the phone to a 911 dispatcher um, reporting a possible intruder. Tragically, the dispatcher was on the phone, heard the gunshots. By the time the police arrived, the mother, Joanna Cottle, and her 3 children have been found dead. So the 3 children are 13-year-old Kayleen Parson and 4-year-old twins Kinsey and Jason, all killed by gunshot wounds. Joanna Cottle's former boyfriend, Jonah Adams, was tracked down by police. He's been arrested in his home in Waldorf, Maryland. Joanna Cottle had filed a protective order against him, but a judge denied it. Her former boyfriend. The mother saw someone outside wearing a camouflage mask early Friday morning. She called 911. She remained online with the dispatcher as the intruder made entry. There was gunfire, then there was silence. The officers were on their way and immediately made entry. The suspect obviously was not there, but of course they found the 4 victims all deceased. So the mother, Joanna Cottle, their 13-year-old girl, Kayleen Parson, and 4-year-old twins, Kinsey and Jason. So the ex-boyfriend was the father of the 2 4-year-old twins. There was a custody dispute over the twins. The mother filed for a protective order. The judge denied that. So that's something that needs to be investigated. So the ex-boyfriend, Jonah Adams, has been taken into custody, and he's been charged with 4 first-degree murder charges. Wow, how terrible. A mother and 3 children. Not again. Yeah, not again. There's a lot of these shootings. Yeah, there's been several families killed in, I think it's Phoenix. I made a video a couple of days ago about a family of 5, 2 parents and 3 children were found dead in a home. I'm quite sure it was in Phoenix, Arizona. And there was also a gas leak. But I have seen an updated article where it seems that it was a murder-suicide, that the father had killed his wife, shot and killed the 3 children, and then killed himself. So a murder-suicide in that case. So this one isn't a murder-suicide. This is an ex-boyfriend with another custody battle. Where the mother rightfully, as Donna says, rightfully the mother went to the authorities. Hey guys, I'm worried for my safety. I'm worried for the safety of my children. The father of my 2 4-year-old twins is making threats against us. I need a protective order. I need to ensure that this weirdo stays away. And the judge, for whatever reason, denied that protective order. I have to say, though, Donna, and whomever else, how effective would a protective order have been in any case? I mean, I might well be wrong, and if I am, then I'd love to be corrected. But I have to think that if someone is mentally ill enough, if somebody is if somebody is psychotic enough or evil enough to kill your baby mama and 3 children, including your own 2 4-year-old twins, what's a piece of paper gonna have done? Would that have stopped him? I mean, I would assume it wouldn't. That would be my guess. But I don't know, maybe it would have. I don't know what the answer is. I guess the answer is there are these psychos out there, these people that are hell bent on murdering. They have access to guns, and a certain percentage of them go out and do these absolutely terrible things. So, of course, full condolences to the extended family. I think this is in regards to the same subject. All right. So I think I'm just going to go through this last article here. I think we'll go through this last article and then we'll finish off with a good news story. And then I'll call it a day and then we can all go about our own business. So I've not read through this one, but it seems tragic. So it's the headline's telling us that a career criminal father has been charged with manslaughter in regards to the savage beating death of his 3-year-old son. His 3-year-old son was found unconscious, covered in bruises, and suffering from a collapsed lung. We're going to look through that in just a moment. Donna says, at least it's a start. What else can they do? The system ain't perfect. Yeah, that's a good point, Donna. A protective order will be something, and maybe it does work. Maybe it wakes up people. people, when they're told that they've done something wrong, often they ignore that. Often it escalates them. But sometimes it will be enough, like legal action will be a wake-up call, and maybe will be a formal, will work in the sense that for some people it will say, hey buddy, you're overstepping the mark, you need to pull your head in. So yeah, you're right, Donna, it's something. And also I guess it gives some level of comfort to the person seeking the protective order. Okay, so we're going to go through this one. A career criminal father has been charged with manslaughter in the savage beating death of his 3-year-old son. The career criminal father of a 3-year-old boy has been found dead with ghastly bruises all over his body as well as a collapsed lung. So the father has been arrested in New York City on Wednesday. The scumbag father has been charged in regards to his 3-year-old son's murder. The scumbag father, Shaquan Butler. Let's see if there's a picture of him. No, there isn't. Shaquan Butler, 26 years of age, was charged with murder as well as manslaughter in the first and second degree in regards to the death of his 3-year-old son, whose name is also Shaquan Butler. Little Shaquan was found unresponsive when the authorities arrived at a homeless shelter located in the Queens Boulevard, the suburb of Queens in New York, on Sunday night around 7:40 p.m., so a week ago. The boy's parents called 911 after they found their son unconscious. Okay, that's a bit confusing. When medics arrived, they found the boy was barely breathing with bruises from head to toe. The boy also had a collapsed lung. Paramedics rushed the boy to the New York City Health Hospital, where tragically he was later pronounced dead. The parents, both with prior arrests, were questioned by police, but at the time, neither parent was charged. The 21-year-old mother claimed her son was choking on a chicken nugget when he ran into a pole and struck his head on the floor. Okay, so that's another thing that happens. The people involved, the parents involved in the beating and the torture and the abuse of their children, they come out with these bullshit lies. Oh, it wasn't me. Oh no, they tripped and fell. So in this case, the 21-year-old mother claimed that little Shaquan was choking on a chicken nugget and he ran into a pole, hit his head. But emergency responders were able to see that the bruises and trauma on his body were in various stages of healing, which, as we know, is very indicative of ongoing abuse. The medical examiner's office performed an autopsy, which concluded that little Shaquan's death was a homicide and that he died of blunt force trauma to his torso. The father had a rap sheet going back years with at least 28 prior arrests, including gang assault, inciting to riot, grand larceny, weapons possession. The mother has 5 prior arrests, including grand larceny and weapons possession. So these two parents are gangbangers. Career criminals, certainly the father. And these two parents, these two gangbangers, these two career criminals have the legal right to go and have children and then to be the guardian of those children. Doesn't really seem like the best setup, really, does it? The best system. Let anybody and everyone have children, even those that are career criminals, that have got a violent history. Oh, you want a child? Yeah, no worries. Yeah, you can have that. There's no problems there. So that's the information that we have. The boy was found barely breathing with bruises from head to toe, as well as having a collapsed lung, beaten seemingly by the father. Who could beat a baby? Well, this 26-year-old guy could. 26-year-old adult guy. Choking doesn't cause bruising. Yeah. To me, it's just so, it boggles the mind so much. A 26-year-old adult male. They almost certainly weigh, whatever. They're going to be big. They're going to be 5'10", 5 foot, 6'1". 26-year-old. This is a grown adult male. Grown adults grown adult males almost always have considerable strength should they choose to use it. If you go around attacking a 3-year-old child, boy or girl, when you're 26, yeah, you're going to cause serious damage. Seemingly, this boy, his bruises, his trauma were in various stages of healing, again indicating ongoing abuse, presumably at the hands of the father, who's been charged in relation to the boy's, little Shaquan's, death. But perhaps even the mother was involved, or certainly perhaps the mother was complicit and an enabler, choosing to ignore the situation, failing to report her partner, the father, to the authorities, failing to take their child to safety. I mean, if you're these scumbag parents and you can't stop yourself from abusing the child, you get that angry at the child that you cause trauma on the child, you beat the child to one extent or another. Surely you can just like wake up one morning and go, you know what, I really should not be doing this. You know what, I should not be a parent of this child. If things escalate, I may end up severely injuring that child. Don't get me wrong, any injuries against a child is wrong. But why can't these people just realize, hang on, I need to get out of this situation for my benefit and for the child's benefit. I need to give this child up for adoption. Why can't they do that? Is it too punishing a system to give up a child for adoption? I don't know. Maybe they're too sick in the head and they need a punching bag. They need a vulnerable person that they can beat. Maybe that's it. But either way, this Shaquan Butler, I hope he faces full justice along with the mother. Both are career criminals. And frankly, if we're going to have vaccination passports, yeah, if we can't move country, if we can't go abroad unless we've got a passport, then perhaps we need to start implementing um, passports for parents. Okay, you're a career criminal. You have a violent past. No, you cannot have a child. If you do become a parent, the child's going to be removed from your guardianship. Maybe that's what needs to be done. Alrighty. So that's the last dark subject. So we're now just going to look at something positive just to give us a little bit of lightness. And then we shall call it a day and we shall move on. And I might try to be doing more regular live streams, but I'm not sure because it's very difficult because, time and effort and all of this. But drugs, I believe, and benefit money. Yeah, that's why they maintain the children. Yeah, they keep their children because they get an income, I believe, from the government. So that becomes their job. That becomes their source of income, rather. And then with that, they can spend it on whatever they want, including drugs, including alcohol, and whatever other vices they want. It's not about caring for a child, is it? It's really, really sick. And why haven't they? Like, I mean, what I've said there about having rules in place for parents. Okay, no, you're not allowed to have a child. Sorry, buddy. If you wanted to have children, you shouldn't have become a career criminal. You shouldn't have done these violent things. Fuck that. We don't want to give you the opportunity to get money from the government, to get money from the taxpayers, just so that you can be a poor parent, a harmful and abusive parent to a child that you use as a punching bag, either emotionally or physically, or both. But yeah, I think you know, I guess we've all read quite a bit about narcissists, and most of us are got a decent enough understanding of what narcissism is and have experienced narcissists in our families or our friendships or co-workers or such. And that's what springs to my mind. Um, that's what springs to my mind is that these people, but perhaps narcissism is an aspect of their issues. They really just want to take their anger out on someone who can't complain, someone that's just got to suck it up. And that's what they do. And it does seem like these things escalate. They continue and they escalate. I enjoy your lives, but mental health first. Yes, absolutely. And I've had some people, Donna, that have been regulars watching my videos, and they've said, "Oh, I watch a lot of your videos," and they also, because I was doing live streams a while back fairly regularly, and they used to come in, but some people have messaged me saying, "I'm unsubbing from you. I'm never going to watch you again," and it's not for anything other than it's damaging to mental health, because these are very, very dark topics, very dark topics, and it is damaging. I would like to make videos and do live streams of a more positive nature, is what I would like to do. Um, and I would like to try to play around and see if there's a way to do that within the true crime world, true crime realm. Um, and maybe I found it. Maybe this is the thing to do, to go through these very, very dark topics so that we can have some period of solemnity. Is that the right word? Where we can just like consider these very, very dark topics. And it's very sobering, I find. And it is upsetting, and it nulls us. It is that the right word? Um, numbs us a little bit. But then we do need to move away from that. So after this, I'll be going for a walk. I'll be playing video games. I'll be doing some other things. And so that's what I'll do. So we're just going to read through this last one, which is just going to remind us that the world isn't entirely covered in darkness. There is some light out there from time to time, and this is one such case. A newborn baby girl has survived after being thrown from a bridge into a river. So this happened in Brazil. The river in question is called the Capibaribe River in São Lourenço de Mata, Brazil. This happened the 17th of November. A newborn baby has miraculously survived being thrown from a bridge into a river inside a rucksack. Witnesses said that they saw a man throw the rucksack into the river. Two fishermen under the bridge saved the baby after seeing the baby crash into the river and hearing the baby's cries. One of the fishermen grabbed a rod, picked up the bag, and passed the bag to the other fisherman. The other fisherman opened the bag, and it was a child, a newborn baby. So literally, by the look of it, this photo was taken immediately after. So presumably the fisherman pulled the bag out of the rucksack, and then they got to shore. They've wrapped the baby up in a t-shirt, which is the thing to do. You've got to keep the baby warm. Warmth is key. Newborn baby girl. Here are the two fishermen, Pedro and Arnaldo. Well done, boys. Are they brothers? They look like brothers. They look like twins, to be honest. But well done, boys. Thankfully, they were at the right place at the right time, and they had the wherewithal to do something. So they saw the incident happen, and they heard the baby cry. So yeah, if you're going to hear a baby cry, your instincts are going to kick in, aren't they? You're going to do what these boys did. If you hear a baby cry, unless you're also a psycho. The two men called the military police, who took the baby to a nearby maternity hospital. The infant had reportedly been born only hours earlier. The umbilical cord had been cut unprofessionally. So we're told that the baby girl's condition is stable and that she remains under observation at a hospital. And that's pretty much it. So again, well done, boys. You saved a life. So we don't know who the mother is. We don't know who threw the baby into the river. So a man threw the rucksack into the river. Was that the father? Was that the mother's father? How old was the mother? How old is the mother? Is the mother okay? You're going to be cooking up a storm. Okay, cool. Oh, you're welcome, Donna. You're welcome. So just something just to take us away from the darkness, a little bit of light. A baby has been saved. I mean, it's still pretty dark. Someone threw a baby off a bridge. I mean, miraculously, angels were looking over the baby, and she survived the fall. And these two young men were there to save the baby, and they did so. So well done. So it is a tragedy. The article mentions about abortion being illegal in Brazil, with penalties of 1 to 3 years imprisonment. Don't know if I want to get into that subject too much. I don't want to get overly political. We've all got our different views in regards to abortion. It's definitely a troubled area, troubled topic. But anyway, Donna, we'll end things on this note. If you're watching this after the fact, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. Going to be considering trying to do more regular live streams. Whether or not that happens, can't quite guarantee, but we shall see. I'll perhaps be making some standalone videos on some of the articles that we've gone over briefly here. So I'll thank you for your time. Please go away and do something more lighthearted and enjoyable. Look after your mental health. Thank you.